you.
April Fools.
Hey,
Okay, now
well,
we have to do the jokes over again.
oh no, please
We
no.
have to.
Is that is an April Fool's joke,
Then
right?
you'll get double groans.
Okay, double groans. Yes. So welcome everyone to the April Fool's edition of our social event to build a community. We've got the Bluegrass chapter, the Southeast Michigan chapter, and the Chicagoland chapter, plus other friends. We all come together and not try to have fun. We always have fun, even when Aaron is doing dad jokes.
Thanks, Steph.
I know it got very quiet
I saw
after I
that
said that.
reaction.
Sorry, it was supposed to be funny, but April Fools, I'm not very funny. So this time around, we tried to fool you at the beginning. Aaron tried to fool you by saying the event was canceled and just kidding. So I thought that was kind of funny. So Aaron, thank you for doing that and for all of the fun backgrounds. Some of my favorites. And I
And
usually
for fooling me by not letting me in. I think that was the biggest joke of all.
Well, I tried
on
to
purpose.
keep her out, guys, but Cathy
I'm
left
too
her.
resourceful on letting you know.
Yeah, she's got multiple ways to reach us. No.
That is
I guess
true.
I should
That is
remove
true.
my comment from the mural board, huh?
I did. I already beat you to
Okay.
it. So yeah, so we are going to have an agile game tonight. It's a positive and two negatives, or two positives and a negative. Aaron, that's for you.
Two positives and a negative.
I thought there would be a joke there. Okay, the
Oh.
joke's on me. The joke is on me, literally.
Sorry, something else.
Okay, well, I'm not going to attempt to make any more jokes here. I'm just going to get straight to business. So tonight we have our usual recipe. So Cathy's going to lead us into that. We have the knowledge sharing from Marci for what are all the things for April Fools that we're celebrating, the pretzels, the bread, the jokes and all that. Aaron came up with a great agile game. So we're going to use our mural board and I'm just going to kind of hang out with the rest of you. So. And with that, Cathy, do you want to start sharing recipes or what do we start out first?
I certainly can.
Steph, I think you ought to leave the jokes to the pros and, Norman and I.
No, I think the jokes should be left to the poems.
We really need that. But
yes.
Where's my gong from the Gong Show?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Let's get a gong.
Do you remember the Gong Show? I probably am really dating myself, but anyway.
I remember the Gong Show.
I remember it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. All righty. Well, let's get to the stuff that makes us hungry. So, Beverly went above and beyond. Thank you. I had so much fun with just the name of this one, Beverly.
I'm already smiling and I haven't even read much past the caption.
Because it's April Fools. I get it.
So, Fool Mudamas. Is that right, Beverly? Am I doing that right?
Fool Mudamas. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. My question for you is: Have you done this, or did you just find this from a fun fool name?
No, I actually eat this almost weekly.
Wow. So you tell us all about the fava beans.
Well, fava beans are an interesting thing. They're a very strong bean. So I often tell people if they're making this and they don't like a really strong bean flavor, use something like a black-eyed pea or a white Kenna lily bean and kind of mellow it out and adjust the spices as you want. It's really, they use it for a breakfast. And how I found this, believe it or not, was during COVID. And during COVID, I was taking all of these different virtual tours of different places. And I've always been fascinated with Egypt. And this lady was doing not just showing you about the Egyptian monuments and everything, but also what people do in the day-to-day life. And she started cooking things. And this is one of the things she cooked. And I'm like going, I got a whole bag of fava beans here. Let's try it. And I absolutely loved it. So I eat it breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever. Because it's very high in protein. You put lots of veggies in it and it's really good for you.
Now, do you like the kick in it with the jalapenos?
I eat jalapenos raw, so I'd say yes.
Whoa, all righty.
Hey,
righty, we're going to have a hot sauce day one time, and you're going to lead us in that discussion.
Yum.
Okay. Yes, sure. No problem with that one.
I love hot sauces and salsas and stuff, so I'm in.
Yeah. So I love the inclusion of how you can serve it. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if there's an excuse to eat pita, especially warm pita, I'm there.
Oh, yes.
But I love that with the sliced tomatoes, especially a really firm tomato. That would be yummy.
Yep.
Cucumber.
And like I said, adjust the different seasonings that you want to put in it. You could even do it with just like a chili seasoning, like a chili, mix. If you wanted something slightly different.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
So all the instructions are here. So thank you very, very much. And then
Sounds good.
I can everything's on Amazon.
Amazon has everything.
Yes. Or I go to my local international market that does
Sure.
specifies in I should say, they do a lot of Lebanese, because even though this particular recipe is from Egypt, the Lebanese people make it, the Turkish people make it, the Greek make a version of it. So it's very common around the Mediterranean and Middle East.
Now,
I
do
actually
you
one of those
had
stores
something
around?
I was just in Japan and I had something on the breakfast buffet at my hotel, and it was a local hotel chain. It's a Japanese chain, and they did breakfast buffet every day. And the interesting thing there is was basically breakfast and lunch. They always had 3 soups. They always had rice. They always had a dish like that. They had breakfast too. They had eggs and bacon and whatnot, but they also had salad, broccoli, and they had something like this almost every day. And I ate it almost every day. I can't say it's exactly the same ingredients, but it was a bean base and a bunch of spices. And we used Google Translator back and forth because I was trying to figure out the recipe because I loved it. And I never did get the recipe, but I got to try this and see how similar to it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, go for it. Because like I said, it's one of those things I like. You can, if you don't have garlic, throw in garlic powder. If you don't have this, throw it, and you can just make it whatever way you want.
So Beverly, do you when you do it, and I apologize if I didn't catch when you were talking more closely, do you take it from a dry fava bean and like let them soak overnight, or do you do canned, or do you do either or, whatever you have?
I do dried fava beans because that's the easiest for me to get here at the international store. I can get canned, but it's hit and miss because we have so many people here that use the canned ones. They have a tendency to go faster because it's a decent sized group of people that use the fava beans, but it's hit and miss when deliveries come in. So,
Gotcha.
so. Yeah.
Well, thanks. This is good. I know my husband and I are liking more kind of the quinoa and bean kind of thing. So I think he might like this too. So thank you so much.
I'm definitely trying it.
And then to follow this, Beverly was right on tap.
Before we move on, just a quick
Yeah.
note: if you're around the north side of Chicago or in the northern suburbs, there are a couple of places where you can pick up fava beans in a can. So it's probably easier to find them in a can than it is to find them in a dry form. So anyone looking, let me know. I can tell you where to go.
I'll be reaching out, Norman, because you know I'm going to try this recipe.
Okay,
I'm already drooling, so.
Will do.
Thank you, Steph, for the history that I didn't know.
I'm reading that too.
I can't, I don't have on par with Marci's research, but I'm like, I've got to figure out how old they've been. I mean, if that many people, have it ingrained in their culture, it's not a new bean, obviously. 6,000 BCE. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
So going on this, where was this when my kids were little? Too fun. I have not heard of putting spinach in brownies. So again, my question is, have you done this one, Beverly?
Okay, so this recipe is actually stolen, including the picture here, from Food Network. But it is a recipe I did for Halloween one year. And I did it as a trick or treat for the office. And I brought it into the office. And everyone was going, "Oh, these taste great. These are fantastic. We love these. These are," I'm like going, "Great, you just ate your vegetables." And they thought it was
So it
hilarious.
worked.
It
And they're
worked.
like, what?
Yep.
How do you
Too
not
fun.
taste the spinach?
You do taste the spinach a little bit if you don't get enough cocoa in it and enough coffee. It's the cocoa and the coffee that covers the spinach taste.
So now
So
the espresso powder, does it um um for those few of us, my husband thinks I'm odd because I don't drink coffee.
I don't
Does
either.
does
I
the
don't either.
does the espresso powder, is that a heavy coffee since it's espresso?
it is. So if you
Okay.
don't do coffee, I would recommend doing something like, I'm trying to think, a mint would be good to cover up the chocolate mint.
Ooh, mint would be good.
Oh, okay.
Chocolate mint.
Okay.
I gotta remember that.
Coconut might be a little bit light. You could try coconut oil, like flavorings. Trying to think of what else.
Good choice.
Orange might be able to, another one if you've got orange liqueur or orange.
Okay, let's go there.
That's
Get a little-
another one you could
Get
try.
a little Kahlua or something. Apparently, I don't
Exactly.
have
You
problem with
experiment with
too
the-
much
I like
coffee.
Kahlua too, Kathy. You and I are too alike. This is scary.
Kalua's
Yeah,
okay. Coffee, I don't know.
yeah,
But
but if you're
cool.
going to put the liquids in, I
Yeah,
would
you gotta
just adjust with a little bit more,
more
either,
flour.
well, flour, or you don't want it too floury, maybe flour
Mm-mm.
cocoa mix.
I was
Okay.
gonna say I'd
Okay.
put more
Yeah.
cocoa
Yeah.
in probably.
Okay.
Yeah, flour
Like
cocoa
chocolate.
mix, and then yeah. But yeah, you
Too
could adjust. But mint,
fun.
I think, would be
Yeah.
really good to cover up that spinach cup flavor.
I would love
So
mint.
so now, Beverly, after you told your office that they had just eaten spinach, did they all go back and try another piece and try to taste the spinach?
Some of them did. Some of them came up to me and asked me for the recipe because they wanted to get it for their children.
I bet.
Now,
I
I've done
bet.
chocolate stuff with avocado, but never with spinach. So
And it's a similar premise, right?
yeah,
It's one of those things. And like I said, I got it. I didn't when I
pureed
first
spinach. Yeah.
made it, I was like, I don't care if I can taste the spinach. I just want it for Halloween to trick
Oh,
or
how
treat the
fun.
office, right? Just because it's
Yeah.
funny, right? But it turned out better than I expected.
Oh my gosh.
I want to try that too. Man, you're gonna have me cooking a lot.
That's
Too
the goal,
fun.
isn't it?
I
Yeah, yeah.
know. It's too fun. Well, with this vegetable in mind, I went ahead and threw in chocolate avocado pudding. My husband, right before COVID hit, was working for a company whose headquarters was in California. He was working in Ann Arbor. So every week they would get a delivery from their California headquarters of tasty little treats. So several times they would get an overabundance of avocados. So my husband comes home with probably a dozen avocados. It's just my husband and me. I like my avocado. That's a lot of avocado. So we learned how to freeze avocado. But then he also, when he brought home with a dozen, he brought home this recipe, and this one was from All Recipes, but they're very similar. Chocolate avocado pudding. And I was like, it cannot be. So I tried it. Oh my gosh, it was great. It was absolutely great. And the trick on this one is you have to kind of play with the ripeness of the avocado, because if it's too ripe, like right before it goes brown and yucky, if it's too ripe, this will taste like chocolate avocado. So if you get it in that little sweet spot before it's way too ripe and still green and hard, you really I couldn't taste it. You use the cocoa powder, a little cinnamon, and that's another thing. Like you had said, Beverly, the cinnamon goes a long way. Vanilla never hurts anybody, and this was yummy. My biggest suggestion on this one is it absolutely has to chill. I wanted to try, can't remember if I tried freezing it. I don't know that I tried freezing it, but I really wanted to. Apparently it didn't last long enough for me to have any extra to freeze.
I bet
But
it would freeze, but I
super
don't know if it
easy.
would get watery if it was when it's
Yeah,
fine or not. That's the only part that worries me.
with the milk and such. But super easy, great way to when your husband or friend comes over with a dozen avocados, you don't know what to do. Make pudding. Who knew?
Now,
Very
if you had a Ninja Creamy, this is almost the exact same recipe you would use for a Ninja Creamy. So you could freeze it and then run it through the Ninja Creamy if you have one of those. Yeah.
Wow. I have not heard of a Ninja Creamy.
It is the most fabulous, although noisy, ice cream maker you have ever seen in your life.
Sweet. So
And
is it like the Ninja that you use for making smoothies, but it just goes cold for ice cream?
Well, it does. Yeah, pretty much. It has a container that you freeze your
Oh,
base of ice
gotcha.
cream in, and then you put it
Yep.
in and it spins it. But it also does margaritas and daiquiris
Ooh.
and
Okay, Beverly, we have to have an in-person time really soon, somewhere between all of us. We have got to have a cooking show. We're going to do a
Yes.
real live cooking show one day. And we'll just
My
Just
teen was in a
travel-
group
travel
where
around.
somebody sent out ingredients to everybody who was on the Zoom, and each person worked on it in parallel. And if they got into
Ooh.
trouble, they said, "Well, what do I do now? It looks too soupy. Like, do I put more flour in? What do I do?" And they were able to get through the whole thing and at the end have a good recipe. And they did it for several different kinds of items.
neat.
What a cool
Oh,
idea. That
that's
would be
very
fun.
fun. That's very fun. We did a chocolate tasting, a virtual chocolate
Ooh.
tasting. Started during COVID as a fundraiser for one of the groups that I work with, Eversight. They do eye research and cornea transplants and such. And I thought it was the coolest thing. It's like, how do we do a chocolate tasting virtual? But they send you a package. The hardest part of the whole night is not eating the chocolate before the meeting. That's the hardest part.
That I can get. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Don't open the
But-
package till the meeting time, apparently.
Apparently. But Norman, that's a fun idea. Just have everybody making the same thing at the same time.
That's
Very fun.
a lot of fun.
So hey, now we can hide chocolate. It covers everything, you know?
Yeah.
Why
And
not?
this one here, I think too, if your avocados were too ripe, throw a little mint instead of the cinnamon, and you would
Oh,
cover it up.
yeah, excellent choice for
Or
using that.
Kahlua,
Perfect.
or instead of your milk, or
So many options.
orange liqueur, or peach schnapps, or cinnamon
I never thought of
liqueur,
peach. Yeah, that's
or
true.
whiskey.
I'm taking notes on my phone. That's why I'm looking down. I'm like, I don't have anywhere to take notes. I'm quickly taking notes.
This is recorded, Marci. You can go back and watch it
Well,
again.
that's true. That's true. Good point. But whoever has time to actually go back, I always say I will, and then
Oh my gosh, too fun, guys. Way too fun. To go on the theme, it's still a chocolate vegetable theme.
Ooh.
Again, this is one I have not tried, but man, I really want to try it. I'm hearing so much good things about sauerkraut these days and probiotics and cleaning your gut. Who knew sauerkraut could do so much? And look at here, it can make one of the moistest chocolate cakes ever. So I think the key to this one is well drained, like always, and extremely finely chopped. But this one just sounded way too yummy. And cream cheese frosting, always a plus. So this one's super easy. Have fun. I'm thinking it's gotta be like a very not as crunchy as like using coconut, but it's got to have that same kind of texture is what
I
I'm
would say there'd be
thinking.
texture to it. Yeah.
I'm thinking, but
What about the flavor, right? Like you think of like sauerkraut
I know
berry.
you think it's so bitter.
Like
And so,
what
yeah,
is the
biting.
contrast with it? What would,
Well, look at the vanilla. So there you go.
Vanilla for one.
A
a
tablespoon.
The
tablespoon.
chocolate
Okay.
and the cocoa again.
Okay, sugar, 1.5 cups of sugar. Okay, so you're sweetening it up to take it
Yeah,
to the side.
take
Okay,
it
Yeah,
up.
gotcha.
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
would
notice.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I didn't notice the tablespoon of vanilla. That would help.
I'm suspecting this would be like the old Miracle Whip addition to chocolate cake that we had
Oh,
back in like the 80s.
Oh, yeah, I remember
To get
those.
that tangy flavor to it. I would be expecting kind of that type of tangy little bit of a flavor to it.
Well,
oh,
and then you have
excellent.
sauerkraut that's like a purple sauerkraut that's more of a sweet one. So you
Yeah.
wonder if it's not like traditional sauerkraut, but you take the sweet sauerkraut and put it in with that to see how that would taste.
Oh, now you've got me thinking of fermented carrots in a carrot cake.
Ooh.
Oh, that would
Man.
be yummy. All righty. Well, we're all going grocery shopping and cooking.
I'm going to be fermenting carrots.
Just
Ooh,
watch
you're
your sauerkraut.
industrious.
Just watch your
No.
sauerkraut, because while Steph is right that they usually make the red cabbage, the purple colored stuff, into
Right?
the sweeter one, they don't have to. So make sure
Yeah.
you know your brand.
Oh,
I will
very
have you-
true.
I will have you all know, with the mention of carrots, Button sat up and her ears are perking. That's one of her favorite things, is to eat carrots. And she's staring at me now. So y'all are in trouble with the pop.
Is it
Aw.
cooked carrots or crunchy carrots?
Yes.
Yes.
She'll eat them
Any,
cooked. I
any?
just don't put anything on them, and she'll eat them raw. Either way.
Well,
She
we'll have
loves
to do
that
carrots.
carrot recipes the next time around. And
Okay, it's going to be carrot day.
carrot
All
Oh
righty.
no, I'm really
Right.
getting looks. You have no idea the looks I'm getting from my lap right now, y'all.
Oh no.
It's
You're giving
almost
her an April Fool, and now I'm gonna have to go to the fridge and get her some carrots, because I
get her
do have
some
some.
carrots.
Well, you
Oh
can't
my
leave.
gosh.
You're going to be up soon. You're going to tell
Yeah,
us the history.
I
I'm not
know.
leaving, but I know I'm gonna have to bribe the child before I go to choir. So yeah, I'm talking
So
to you.
we're taking a little break from recipes. We'll hit the rest at the end, but to give a little little segue to Marci, Aaron, I know I gave the joke and the answers, but are these up to par, Aaron? I do like the frog. Why was the frog late to work on April Fool's Day? His car got towed.
Oh.
Yo,
Oh,
It was, well, if it had been an amphibious car, it could have gone underwater. So something's confusing there.
So with that one, Marci, tell us all about the history
April Fool's
of
Day?
April Fools.
So I have a question to start with. How old do you think April Fool's Day is? Give me a guess of what year it may have started.
It started in May?
I don't know, did it?
Oh, it's only 10 months old.
I would say there's always been
1900.
a April 1st since a calendar was made, right? But you're not saying how long is April 1st
I'm
been around.
asking
You're
for a
saying April
year. What
Fool's.
calendar year do you think it would have started in?
1900.
I have
Hmm.
1900 on the table. Anything else?
I'm going to go in the 1640s.
Okay, 1640s. Anyone
Wow.
else?
Because
Or
I
should I
can't
just
because I
answer?
researched this
1940.
for another meeting.
Okay. Well, they believe, now there is not a definitive answer. There's different things that they think fed into it. So the earliest one that they're speculating on goes back to 1582.
Wow.
And that was when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, because the Council of Trent wanted them to do this in 1563.
so I was
So
like,
in the Julian calendar, to
Was
your
that the
point,
joke?
no, this is the truth.
Ow.
In the Julian calendar and the Hindu calendar, the new year began with the spring equinox around April 1st. Now, here's where it gets funny. People who were slow to get the news or failed to recognize that the start of the new year had moved to January 1 and continued to celebrate it during the last week of March through April 1st, became the butt of jokes and hoaxes and were called April Fools. Those pranks included having paper fish placed on their backs and being referred to as poison d'Arville, April fish, said to symbolize a young, easily caught fish and a gullible person.
Yep. Poisson de Ville.
Wow.
Thank you for pronouncing it for me.
Wow.
Then they're also saying that Hilaria in ancient Rome is another festival that they've kind of linked to April Fool's Day. That word Hilaria is Latin for joyful. And they celebrated this in ancient Rome at the end of March by followers of the cult of Cybele. I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure. Those celebrations involved people dressing up in disguises, mocking fellow citizens and magistrates, and was supposedly inspired by the Egyptian legend of Isis,
Yes.
Osiris, and Seth. They also speculate that it is tied to the vernal equinox, or the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere, where Mother Nature fooled people with changing, unpredictable weather. For example, my trip to Japan, their weather is very similar to ours. However, in Japan, they get snow in January and February. Very, 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 very rarely do they get it in March. I had 2 inches of snow one of the days I was there. I had pictures of flowers covered in snow. So there you go. Mother Nature was playing an April Fool.
But never fool with Mother Nature.
Exactly. And then it goes into Britain in the 18th century. Scotland, the tradition became a 2-day event, starting with hunting the gawk, in which people were sent on phony errands. Gawk, G-O-W-K, is a word for cuckoo bird, a symbol for a fool, and followed by Talia Day, which involved pranks played on people's derrieres, such as pinning fake tails or kick me signs. So, pin the tail on the donkey. In modern times, obviously, it's April Fool's hoaxes. In 1957, the BBC reported that Swiss farmers were experiencing a record spaghetti crop and showed footage of people harvesting noodles from trees. 1985, Sports Illustrated writer tricked many readers when he ran a made-up article about a rookie pitcher named Sid Finch who could throw a fastball over 168 miles an hour. 1992, National Public Radio ran a spot with former President Richard Nixon saying that he was running for president again, only it was an actor, not Nixon, and the segment was an April Fool's prank. 1996, Taco Bell announced it had agreed to purchase Philadelphia's Libertyville and intended to name it the Taco Libertyville. 1998, Burger King advertised a left-handed Whopper. Scores of clueless customers requested the fake sandwich.
Oh, that's funny. That's
Google
funny.
notoriously hosts an annual April Fool's prank that has included everything from telepathic search to the ability to play Pac-Man on Google Maps. So that's just a small rundown. I mean, I found a lot more references in between those, but I thought those were some of the funniest ones.
Those are great.
So,
But I think it's kind of fascinating how it erupted and how even the news media sometimes plays the games as well. So
I was raised in a town called Sydney, Ohio. It's about 30 miles north of Dayton, Ohio, right there on I-75. And small town, with a lot of other small farm towns around it. But we had a company named Emerson that worked on refrigeration units. And the Sydney Daily News always ran an April Fool's joke article on April 1st. One year it showed the space shuttle on the lawn of Emerson, saying it was there and Emerson was working on the refrigeration units in the space shuttle.
In the space
And I think it was the next year they said there was sitting next or very close to named Lachlan, and there were locks. If you know the river and there's in the river, and you close the locks and raise the water to get the boats through.
Yep.
But their next April Fool's joke was that Michael Jackson was found at the Lachlan Locks. was seeing them watch the locks.
Oh,
Oh man. That's a good one.
So somebody said earlier about trick or treating the office, and that reminded me. I was hearing on the radio this morning. The people were asking, "Were you gotten today in the office?" And one guy had called in and admitted he was gotten because he walked into the office and on the table in their work area, and that was a box of Dunkin' Donuts. So he went and opened the Dunkin' Donuts, went to get a donut, and it was filled with carrots and celery.
That reminds me when I was a little kid, I got my dad good on April Fool's Day with my mom's help, of course. He always laid his clothes out the night before, including his shoes. So I put saltine crackers in his shoes.
Jeez.
Need I say more? He was not a happy man when he put his shoes on.
My-
But I was laughing, and so was my mom.
At least it wasn't shaving cream.
so did you tuck them into the
Way into the toe so he
way?
couldn't see him. So he didn't
Okay.
know till he actually stuck his foot in the shoe and stepped down and crunch.
Ouch.
I'm an evil little kid. What can I say? It was fun though. He still talks about that to this day.
Aw.
My favorite one that I was able to pull off was not actually that great, but I, with a straight face, asked the Northwestern Hillel rabbi while I was a grad student. I said, there have been a bunch of people who have said that snoo isn't kosher for Passover. Is that true? And he said, what? And I said, there's an argument about whether or not snoo is kosher for Passover. And of course, he went with it and said, what's new? I said, nothing much. What about you?
What's new?
That's a good one. Dun-dun-dun.
And happy Assyrian New Year to everybody.
Same to you.
Yes, indeed. Oh boy. So that was great, Marci.
I had fun researching it. I was laughing when I
you
was
love
reading some
doing
of the
that.
things that were done. I had to make sure I kept it professional. There were some things that weren't professional that were hilarious. Let me just put it that way.
So you're encouraging people to go research on their own. Okay, that's true.
If you want to laugh, there's some, yeah.
You don't need a recording of inappropriate things.
No.
For sure. Okay. So, Erin, do we want to pivot over to the Miro board to start one of the scenarios, or do you have any jokes that you want to share before we do that, or what's
I
your
think we've done the joke, haven't we?
Okay. Okay, so I put in the chat a link to the Miro board, and hopefully everyone can be able to join us there. And then Aaron, this is Aaron's recommendation. So he will have the distinct pleasure of teeing it up and telling about what we're going to be doing in this.
I'm going to mute for a minute because Button's going insane. So
Must be
Karen.
CAROT
she
time.
wants what you all promised her. If you can hear her, she's barking for me to go to the fridge. So
I don't
hear her?
remember promising anything.
well, she thought she heard the word CARROT.
So hopefully, while I talk, you all can go in and get on the Miro board. Make sure you can get in. What we're going to play today is in our agile technique is I'm sure you've all played the two truths and a lie thing, is like that icebreaker thing when you're with a new team. We're going to play two positives and a negative. So we have a few scenarios here. So here is scenario one. If you're at the first island, the blue one, or blue water, they probably both have blue water. So the top island is the first island in that. And we got a scenario here that has 3 bullet points on it. And 2 of them are positive and 1 is the negative. Then we have 3 questions for you to do this. So, first of all, we want to identify out of the 3 bullet points which one is the negative. And then we want to say, and we will use the post-it notes that are next to the island, and we can post it on our island. How did this happen? What allowed this to happen? What was the team missing that allowed this to happen? And talking about the negative one. And then the third question is, what can we do about it? What can the team do about it? So our scenario is, our first scenario here has 3 bullet points. We met our sprint goal. That doesn't sound negative. Our sprint backlog was well refined and prioritized. And we did not complete any product backlog items during the sprint. So which one is the negative? And it is not all of the above or none of the above.
But you can make justification why all of them are positive.
Can you?
Yes. Even if you didn't complete any of the product backlog items, it could be that you were researching. And
So
it could have been a research
Oh,
sprint.
so you were doing spikes.
Like a
Okay.
spike.
Yeah.
Also, you met your sprint goal, so who needs any? You don't
Right.
need to get those product backlog items during that sprint.
That's an awful lot of research.
But it's a possibility.
Oh,
Anything is
God.
possible in a world of infinite possibilities.
How many
So
people are, on the team, right? If it's a super small team, it may have been where they worked on a spike tickets.
yeah.
Did a bunch of grooming, some analysis.
Okay, but our scenario here, what we want to accomplish was that the third one is the negative. We did not complete any product backlog items. So our second question is, what allowed this to happen? If we met our sprint goal, but we didn't complete any product backlog items, what's the problem?
We didn't set a goal of putting backlog items into this sprint.
Or that the product backlog items didn't support the goal, right?
Right.
So the goal was not relative to the work that the team brought into the sprint. So is this got 2? There we go. Did not complete any backlog items. The negative is 3. Team was ill and there were holidays. They could have been all on vacation, right? Or took a lot of vacation. It was the last 2 weeks of the year. Everybody takes that off, right?
Somebody won the lotto and took everyone on a wonderful cruise. I would do that. If I won the lotto, I would take you all on the cruise.
Aw,
Thank you,
very nice.
Beverly. Go ahead and win the lottery now.
I'll have to play the lottery first.
Well, unfortunately, you might have to.
Yes.
Okay. So those are some of the things that could have happened. Definitely, if you met your sprint goal but you didn't complete items, then your sprint goal did not support or was not relative to the work that was brought into the sprint. And then some of the other things that we're talking about there, the team could have been distracted by outside work. People doing the drive-by at your desk, and you have to answer a lot of questions or research something for somebody, and they get you distracted on doing something else other than your work. Team was away on vacation. Team was ill for 2 weeks. Must be COVID.
You never know. I've had that this last sprint where the principal or engineer was out sick for 2 weeks. He had like a nasty flu that's going around. So
One of our chapter leaders is saying that she's been ill for well over a week now and everything, and so is her entire family. It seems like it's just passing from one person to another and then pass it back, and it's just going around the house over and over. So, um, that kind of thing can always happen.
Mhm.
All right. And then our lower island down here is how can we make it better? So what can the team do to make that better? So if they were all on vacation is why they didn't get anything done, then certainly,
Stagger the vacations.
yeah, schedule vacations better.
Or even get stronger team leadership.
Yep.
Because if you have a strong leader would not permit everyone to go on vacation at
Not
the same
allow that
time,
to-
right?
Right. Very good, Beverly.
yeah.
So
And that could even follow into we didn't, complete any of the backlog items, because then you're looking at if you've got weak leadership and they don't know how to organize, or someone who's unskilled at organizing agile teams, that could have fallen into a reason. So you'd want to maybe do some training as well in agile to make sure the leadership is up to speed.
okay. And on that weak leadership, if your team was distracted by other work or by people coming by their desk and asking them to research something or do something for them, that's weak leadership. Your scrum master is not protecting the team from the
Correct.
drive-bys and other work.
That is assuming you have a scrum master. They let all our scrum masters go, so we do it all ourselves.
Isn't that fun?
Oh yeah.
So, and certainly, make sure that your work brought or your either work brought into the sprint supports the sprint goal, or the sprint goal, supports the work that is in the sprint. So you don't want it that, you accomplished your sprint goal, but you didn't get anything done. Or the opposite of that would be you got all your product backlog items done that were in the sprint, but didn't accomplish your sprint goal. Well, how does that happen?
You worked really hard, but not on the right things.
That's basically what it's saying, isn't it?
Yep.
So, and it comes from your sprint goal didn't support the work that was in the sprint. Okay. Anybody else have any ideas about this? What else could have made this happen? How can the team make that better? Stronger retrospectives, possibly.
There was no product backlog, so there's nothing to fix.
That's what I was wondering. How much is in the
Ah.
backlog?
Ooh.
Oh, is that an April Fool's joke? Okay.
I like that.
It's the first sprint. So to find out what goes on the backlog.
There you go.
That
Create
is-
a backlog.
And if the entire team was ill all at the same time, send a doctor to all their houses for something. Get it
House
done.
house calls. There
Find
you
out
go.
why they're spending so much close time together.
I can explain this. What happened to us recently was the development, the technical developers, all of them quit in the
Oh.
same sprint. and onboarding new people. So the sprint goal was knowledge transfer,
Without
only handling
knowledge.
P0s and making sure that enough conversation was had before they left and the new people were left with holding the bag.
Really sorry to hear that.
Wow.
Yes,
All right, who put plenty of rest in the orange juice?
I did.
Orange juice cures it all.
The team was ill. They need rest, orange juice, positive vibes.
Calm music. Okay. Any
Okay.
last minute thoughts? Stronger retrospectives is down there. Prevent fly-in distractions. Good. You guys are capturing what we're talking about in that. That's good. So I'll pass it back to Steph or to Marci, whichever wants to
Okay.
take scenario 2.
As
Well-
long as it's quick, because I do have to leave in about 10 minutes. So
Okay. So Marci, if you want to tee up scenario 2,
okay.
yeah, I
So
think you
scenario
can.
2 is the same sort of setup that we had before, and hopefully I can get my pup to shut up. The 3 items are: we did not finish backlog refinement. We went through 2/3 of our new stories. And there are 19 people on the Agile team. So the 3 questions: which one is the negative? What allowed it to happen? And what can the team do about it?
Where's the positives?
This is my reality today, folks. This is how I'm working. So you're helping me.
We get to scroll down if you haven't seen where the new scenario is.
Yep.
It's right here. Well, I'm seeing it anyway.
Yep, it's
Right.
the
Scroll
next
down
style.
from
Oh,
where
if
you
you're
were.
on the actual, instead of viewing it, I'm viewing it on the screen. So
Right. Well,
My screen.
yes.
We make it a little bigger. There's our 3 scenarios,
Yep.
our 3 questions.
So the question is, which one is the negative?
The 19 people is the negative. That's too many for an agile team.
Way too many.
Yeah, when we were in our planning session and that, Cathy says, well, what if you got an agile team with 2 people?
I said it'd be better than my current team.
Right?
My team of 19 is my reality, and that was set up by our management.
Oh man.
So
That is my team. I have 19 people and 1 other DPM.
DPM,
That was a management reorg and their decision. I went from a team of 6 to a team of 19.
So Marci, can you have them work in pairs so you effectively cut your
Programming is
19 in
paired
half?
programming, but the other fun part about the situation is where before I had 1 technology stack extreme, I now have 5 technology stacks, and I have both the new product that we're launching and all of our legacy products as well for property.
Wow.
So we quadrupled the team, we quadrupled the work, and that is my sprint team, 19 people.
should put them in train cars. So
Wow.
teams of 6 or something like that, to work on different aspects.
Mhm.
They're all still working
That's
from
what I've
the
been trying to do.
product backlog.
Oh, I have a product backlog.
And that's kind of scaled agile that's the theory.
Well, let's put it this way. I went into the current sprint with 193 points in it that all had to be done by the end of the sprint. Our capacity is 48. I got it down to 98.
Wow.
Another
So-
50s.
You're making progress, but geez, you Pete's.
Wow.
And this is after I had a come to Jesus meeting with the leadership that set this up. So yes, the 19 is not my negative. The 19 is what my reality that I have to deal with. I have no choice. It's from senior management down.
Wow.
So try again. Which one's the negative?
Did not finish the backlog refinement.
Backlog private.
Is that the answer that I'm supposed to say yes or no to?
I don't know if not getting through all your stories. So when you say getting through your stories, is it stories so that they're groomed?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so they're not all groomed, but how many, like 2/3 of all stories in the backlog or 2/3 of
Of the new
stories that
ones.
were for
As
the
I said,
spring.
of our news stories, the one that were just written that we have not had any refinement on, but that are going to be critical soon, we got through 2/3 of them.
Are you able to bucket them or put them in dependencies? Meaning, like if you have your pod set up where people are functionally working on things, is it prioritized by that?
It's
Or are all,
prioritized by project initiative, the dates that the teams have given us that we are supposed to meet for a dark deploy.
okay,
And we no longer have cross dependencies because I now own all of the technology stack that does it. So if I say that I'm dependent on, I'm going to use names that you aren't going to understand, but if I say I'm dependent on BMAC, the response I get is BMAC's part of your team. If I say it's an extreme one, they say, well, extreme's part of your team. Deal with it.
right, but you still have dependencies. Like we have tickets, stories that have cross dependencies, right? So it's the sequencing of them, right?
We do have that to some extent, yes. But a
Okay.
lot of times we have to work them in parallel because there's no way to sequence
Okay.
with the amount of work we have. So to the
Oh.
answer to which one was the negative, it was not getting through more than 2/3 of the backlog refinement
Oh,
because I keep adding more to it and we can never get through everything. That is the negative, but it's also the positive because we've really looked at how to prioritize now. So what I'm doing now, and whether this is the right approach or not, given the disaster I have, but this is what seems to be working for me, is I now prioritize everything and make sure that in that 2/3 I get through, it's all the top stuff that has to be done.
mm-hmm. That makes
And
sense.
then we carry those others over and they become the top for the next session. And
Well,
sometimes
there
I'm
you go.
having 3 backlog refinements in a week. So
Wow.
So are you using any ticketing system or the tool so you could see?
we use version 1. So yeah.
Okay.
And we do prioritization and everything on that as well.
Okay.
So
So you're able to visualize as well.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And we also use mural too. So we also have the murals of what the business priorities are and the state releases and all that kind of thing. So
Okay.
that is true, Robert. Mostly you hear about short staffing. I am still short staffed. Keep in mind, I had to do 193 points and I could do 48. So, even though I have a huge team, I actually don't have enough people.
The question is, are you better with 19 in one team or 10 and 9 in two
Right.
10 and
teams that
9.
are tasked to
But if I could get my leadership to agree to that, I would be so thrilled. And I wouldn't mind running both teams. But well, I don't get my way. So
Are you?
you all are helping me come up with ideas, and I appreciate that because this is a real situation.
So are you CICD or are you doing like a release train?
Release train. But we
Okay.
were taken off the train per se, the full art. So we're just a cog in it, shall we put it? But we're the end system. We're the ones that send out all the documents to the customers. So if they don't have us, they don't go out.
What stops you from splitting your team in half anyway? And
Without them.
Because the leadership comes to my meetings and they have to be recorded because we have a certification process we have to go through. And if I'm not doing it the way they want it, I can't pass certification. Believe me, I've tried to come up with all those little loopholes. But when leaders pop in at the last minute and say, what are you doing? Even when I say I'm trying to make this work, it doesn't go over well. So leadership is the constraint. So I'm just trying to make it work as best as I can with a very interesting scenario. Let's just put it
what
that
if
way.
you
I'm trying to
have
be diplomatic.
occasional meetings of 19 and then sub meetings with fewer?
Right, in like the pods, like the functional groups. So like these people work together to get things done. You have a lot of systems, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a smaller subset of people that are working on things that can help get it from end to end within that larger group.
That's what I've actually been trying to do. I have a lot of international teams, but when most of the leadership's in Ireland, so when they drop off, I have the remaining people work in smaller groups and try to knock stuff out. And then the next day they're like, wow, you got a lot done. And I'm thinking, yeah, because I had less people to manage and we were able to cut through the work. But, I can't say that either. So I didn't say that out loud here either, even though it's recorded.
Didn't hear anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I am appreciating the ideas because I'm trying to figure out how to manage it kind of under the table and make it work. We're trying a few things under the table, like I'm prioritizing things differently and we're doing backlog refinement differently because of that, but it's challenging.
Yeah, and when you have
Slightly.
the certification constraints there, it's even more.
Yeah, we're required to
challenging.
be bronze certified by the middle of the year, and it was supposed to be by the end of last year. So I really have to get through that before I can. And I'm hoping, to be quite honest, I'm hoping when we go through certification, they want teams of 6 or 8. So I'm hoping we're going to get knocked out by that leadership that's higher than my leadership, and they'll say we have to change it. That's what I'm praying for. But I got to get through the process and do it the way it is now per my leadership, and pray that they give me the feedback I want to help my case and go from there. But if I don't, then I still have to make this work. So
Yeah.
so if anyone has any ideas, you know me, please reach out with ideas, because believe me, I can take any input I can get. I'm
Is your
I'm in
team
the deep end
offered
of the
any?
swimming pool and I'm frantically dog paddling toward the side. Okay.
So has your team offered any suggestions on how they think that they can work better?
The goal is to cross train everyone to do all of the different technology stacks so that whichever
Oh.
team is behind can work. The problem is we don't have any bandwidth to allow for that cross training. So I went to leadership and said, what can you take off our plates to free us up for some time for cross training?
Nothing.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
that's the answer I'm getting so far, but I'm telling him either you do or I'm going to keep falling further and further behind. You know, my next sprint has 111 points and God knows how many I'm going to roll over from this one. So, you know, it's not getting better. Something's got to give.
Do they believe in outside consultants?
No, they've laid those off.
Okay. No, I mean
Wow.
like a agile coach.
That's the one who put us in this situation.
No
They
way.
hired one and he decided to change our team and put us all together because it would be more efficient.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what I said. I have no say.
Lovely.
He's the one who did this to us with the approval of the senior vice president. She thinks this is just the best way to go.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Now you're understanding the backstory.
Send your senior vice president to agile training.
Yeah.
God, I wish I could.
You know, we could do the agile training and we could get paid for it. Hint, 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 hint.
Agile training, if I could get her in a room to do it. I'm certified, but you know.
We could play a monster game with her and where they think it's fun and we're really trying to teach them something, but who knows,
I hear
right?
you. I
Oh
hear
boy.
you.
Oh. Wow. Poor you.
Anyway, like I said, thank you. And if anyone has ideas, this is a true scenario and I'm looking for input. So
Okay.
this truly is my world right now. So
Marci,
when
I
you
just
hear
thought of
me
a
say
joke.
I'm stressed and overworked, I'm stressed and overworked.
Marci, can I try a joke?
Absolutely.
What's the
I could
difference?
use some light, something
What's
before
the
choir.
difference? Either this is a really bad joke or someone's already made it up. What's the difference between certified and certifiable?
A bull.
Oh.
I'm not sure what is.
The S in SVP. Has anyone heard that
I will
before?
give
'Cause
you a
I just,
round of applause for
I
that.
promise you, I just made that up.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. And I have an SVP that I will actually tell that to, and he will laugh.
I'm just
That-
wondering how, I'm not going to say her name, but how my person that authorized all this would take that joke, because I'm really tempted to give it to her.
And I
It's pretty funny.
I've always felt that you must be certifiable if you're not certified.
I think I'm living in both worlds right now.
As the guy with 6 certifications, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The sad thing is I have
All right.
3 safe certifications and I keep telling them everything they're doing is wrong, but you know.
Well, Marci, we tried to help you. This team will
Thank you.
collectively think about this and what additional things that we can
Yep.
suggest, knowing all of your constraints. So it's kind of like one of those
Yeah, it's an
Just for
ongoing
game.
exercise, so I will take input if anyone has ideas. So,
Okay.
thank you in advance because I'm trying different things under the table and will continue to do so to try to make it work because my team wants to be successful, but at the same time, I'm telling them sometimes you have to fail spectacularly to make the point known, and them seeing how much work we have is step one. So,
It strikes me that the key problem is managing expectations.
bingo.
And if you can
Well, I
address
just
that
stretched out a bunch
sufficiently,
of
you
dates
could
that
solve
were
a lot
supposed
of
to
things.
dark deploy the end of March, and they're now May 1st. So leadership saw that today and about hit the gasket. And I said, well, you told me you wanted this, and this top priority. So to do that, we have to push all this out. Well, we've got to go back. I said, go back wherever you need to go. I'm telling you what the reality is.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. It's time for you to take another vacation, Marci.
No.
Coming back was hell, let me tell you. The stuff that hadn't been done because I wasn't there.
So Kathy, do any of these recipes have any like adult beverages that we could share with Marci?
Well,
I know
let's
that that's not a solution, but I don't know what else.
Drown our sorrows.
well, we
Or maybe
can.
a
Oh, no, I
yummy-
just lost. Yeah,
yummy
let me
delicious recipe.
well, one definitely requires a beverage to go with it. Does that
Oh, I
work?
could use that.
So
Not
let's
if you're going to go
just
drive.
Oh,
No, not while I'm driving. Once I get home from choir.
somebody has to stop sharing. Oh, allow or can
That
I
would
will
be
it
Aaron is?
can I say allow for multiple presenters? Or is that just going to cause
Don't
chaos?
take it.
Okay. So, in honor of the other half of today, there we go. We have again Beverly, man, you were on tap.
I had to hit them all. It's the
You
first time I did
were,
recipes, so I had to hit everything.
and you did them ahead of time. So impressive. So impressive.
Got sourdough and the pretzels.
Yes.
Yes.
So very, very cool. Again, my question for you, Beverly, is did you find this recipe or have you made this recipe?
This is a recipe I got from my online course of making sourdough.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Again,
so
we need to have an in-person.
yeah.
Sweet.
So my goal last year, one of the things I have never done in my life was make sourdough bread. So I decided I was going to learn how to make sourdough bread, and I got a course and I got my little starter, which I affectionately named Dee Dee. And Dee Dee lives in my refrigerator, and every week Dee Dee gets fed, and every week I make something with Dee Dee.
Ah,
So this is one of the recipes that I have tried. This is the original one that I gave you, that I got. I have tweaked it to my own things. So I've done things like I've done cinnamon sugar ones, and I've done this and that with it. But this is the standard recipe, and it does give you kind of an idea of what to do with the starter and everything else. But if you need to know how to make a starter, that's really easy too.
yeah, I was loving how they had that up there.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Any excuse to make a pretzel, that making pretzels just means you get to eat a pretzel, which means you need
Yes.
something to drink with the pretzel. So it's a win-win-win.
It's
as far as
definitely
I'm
a
concerned.
win. Yes.
Win-win-win. Very, very cool. And you could, if you have to, you could even freeze them.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen much in my house. But I just thought this was very cool. I was trying to use this. Oh, okay. So thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And the one thing it does say, if you don't have a kitchen scale, you can. But if you are going to get into making sourdough on a regular basis, I would recommend even just a cheap, like $10 kitchen scale. It's extremely helpful.
Much better weighing the ingredients as opposed to measuring.
easier to calculate because there is some math and you have to calculate because there's different hydrations, just to quickly go through it, there's different hydrations of doughs, and you can have a really wet dough or you can have a drier dough. And to calculate it, it's easier to calculate if you have the scale than it is if you don't. So that's just what I find. But if you're not going to get into it, just do a standard recipe, or if you're just going to play with it and say, I'm going to make bread one week and maybe pretzels or something else, and I really don't want to get into doing fancy things, then no scale is required.
Very cool. So I thank you for that. So what do you do with pretzels is you have to have beer cheese. So again, no liquid recipes here, but liquid refreshments were required for some of these. So I love my beer cheese. Any reason to add a little liquid refreshment just sounds great. This one I like because you can, oh, sorry. You can kick it into high gear with a little cayenne if it wants to work. There we go. So this one just sounded yummy. Just sounded fun and yummy. Whether you use soft pretzels, hard pretzels, any kind of pretzels. So I was looking for the sourdough starters as well, and just came across, I don't know who Chef John is. He just came up quick in my thing. This was a 10-day 10-day sourdough starter recipe. But day 4 through day 10 is basically feed it and let it continue fermenting. So if you wanted to try another one, there's that one. And then, of course, if you have a starter, just like with Beverly's pretzel, if you have a starter, then you have to make something with it. So here was, again, Chef John. I need to know more about Chef John, but any excuse for sourdough bread is just lovely. So lots of fun things. But yeah, I was just curious with all the, I apparently I'm not ready to make sourdough bread at this time because I do not have a scale. So I think I have to go shopping.
You could do your starter without a scale. You could start out with a starter without a scale. Because if you got 10 days and you're going to wait and then do your first couple loaves, see how much you like it. Because you can go and you can take online and you can say how many grams is, this and that, and it can kind of give you. The other thing I would say is you can also look at on YouTube. There is twin brothers. They're from Ireland and they go by the Happy Pair. And they have instructional videos on how to do sourdough. And a lot of their stuff is like not quite weighing stuff, but kind of more easy to follow.
Okay. Good to know. I know when I was having fun cooking when I was, oh my gosh, that's probably middle school. And I saw this recipe on there on the internet too. It popped up when you say starter recipes. The Amish friendship bread. Everybody had a little cup of Amish friendship bread starter. That was it when I was growing up.
That was it, yes. And a quickly funny story is I remember my mother was making it one time and she was soaking the cherries and the fruit and everything for the friendship bread. And my younger brothers got into it and they ate all the cherries and all the peaches out of it. And they got really drunk and passed out on the couch. And Mom couldn't figure out why they were so quiet. They got into our friendship bread.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, and with that, that was the end of our recipes. Does anybody have any other fun recipes to share? Any fun experiences making bread? Does anybody use a bread maker? And if so, do you like the bread maker or would you rather make it by hand?
We used a bread maker. We haven't used it as much for the sourdough recipes. Our 18-year-old just got into sourdough and got starter from a friend and has a book and everything. But the bread
Oh,
machine
wow.
has been very helpful for making either bread or making dough. And sometimes we'll let it knead the dough, and then take the dough out and braid it or do cute designs and then bake it that way. And sometimes it's just nice to be on the lazy side and just put all the ingredients in and go away for a few hours, and you'll smell it when it's ready. Or you put it in for the morning and you're just about awake and you smell it before it goes beep, beep, beep. And it's just a wonderful smell to wake up to.
Oh my gosh, that's got to be.
Mhm.
I have a story about making a challah. We were invited to a wedding in a different state, and we made a 10-pound challah, which is like this big.
That's
Right, it's the
huge.
wedding size challah.
Yeah, well, you have to get it on an airplane, which means I had to build a box around the challah. And then I had to
Wow.
build a little window in the box because, you go through TSA at the airport for security and they want to know, what do you mean it's a challah? Challah is not that big. Well, let me look.
Oh
So
my
I had to,
gosh.
so we cooked the challah and then built the box and then took it on a plane and it actually got there and it was good
Was it for a celebration?
for a wedding.
There you go.
Wow. I
It's
can't
great.
believe it made it through security without being tasted or tested or both. Wow. Wow. That's impressive.
It is impressive. Wow, wow, wow.
Too fun.
Okay.
So if everybody else is done,
Okay.
we
Uh-oh.
have a question for you for the three ladies and myself that planned this event, and many of you have been here. I think we've seen all of you here before and everything. So you're our core, group, and there's a couple that aren't here and that, but we're going to ask you in that because in our planning meetings, we've been asking the question. This has not gotten a lot of attendance, we had 12 here at the beginning of the this event and that's very common. We get 12, 15 people. We're lucky if we get 20. There were 35 registered for this and only 12 came. So the one thing we were wondering, is it the name? Is it what we're doing that makes this not so attractive for BAs to come to? So we're wondering, should we rebrand this? Our current title is Social Event to Build Our Community. So here's a few suggestions we had that maybe we could, rename it. And so the first one, the Agile After Hours, we could put a title behind that. Like for today's event, we could have called it Agile After Hours, Tomfoolery or April Foolery event or something. April Fool's Day, something of that nature. So we're asking your opinion here. You want us to leave it the same or use any of these titles? And I was going to take off so that, there we go. So hopefully, Cathy and Steph, you might be able to answer the poll now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, one thing I would suggest is reach out to the 23 people that registered but didn't come and ask them
Yeah.
why and
Open.
what would actually bring them in.
People like mixology, huh?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
It is really,
I
yeah.
do. I like that.
Yeah, we're trying to, show that there's a little bit of business to it. We do a technique like we did with the islands today and everything, as well as this is highly a social event where we swap recipes and stories, and we just connect with each other. So that's what I think makes this such a delightful event to attend. And, we're not bringing in all the people to get to experience that. And I think that's why some of you, are often attenders, and just keep coming back for it, is that camaraderie.
I have to say that's why I come back, because I came to the first one, had so much fun. Every time I see the events, I'm coming to them.
And,
So unless a
and,
hurricane hits me or something, I'm not gonna be, and I can't be here, I'll be here type of thing.
and this time we got recipes from Beverly.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
that was my goal, was to be more involved in things this year. That's what I'm trying to do, although I've had a few setbacks on things, but trying my best to get more involved and to be more active in things. So my next goal is to start looking at doing speeches, actually, like giving talks and stuff like that. So
Okay.
lots of fun things coming up, I hope. Fingers crossed.
So,
Outstanding.
got 75% participated. Anybody want to get their last minute vote in? Last call. Nobody liked Scrum and Socialize. I don't believe it. So this is what you said. So a few people liked the BA mixology.
I like it because that's what we're trying to do, right? I mean, when we did the Agile games about a month or so ago, it was like high pace, 6 games, but we don't do the recipes and the history and all the other kind of stuff. It was purely like, let's do some Agile games, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of attendees, so it's kind of like, what is the right mixology for people that want to attend? More recipes, less recipes, because it really is about, how you want to spend your time with us and vice versa.
Okay.
Oh. All right, so
Cool.
it looks like we played our games. Aaron, do you have any more jokes that you want to send us off into the big world with, or is that too much pressure? Too much pressure?
Well, do you know why dads take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing?
In case they get a hole in one.
Oh,
Oh man.
we're gonna have to do a dad joke competition again. I think Norm is
Oh, I know.
rival for you, Aaron. I'm just tossing that out there. That's a potential opportunity that we haven't fully explored yet.
I think Aaron will take that no matter what, because I've told that dad joke that I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
and no one has ever known the answer except Aaron. So he's obviously fluent in dad jokes.
So it's a dad joke off then, we're gonna have like a competition and back and forth.
We did at one point, but we couldn't call it that because
I know.
It's a joke marathon.
Some of us had a hard time saying it and it sounded really bad. So it's like, let's
Yes,
do
I
that. But we need to.
He heard it as soon as she said it.
How do you fix a broken tomato?
Throw it at
Wow.
something.
Tomato paste.
Oh, man.
We'll have to get a working groanometer. Yes. We will
We're
find
gonna
one.
have to find a grown meter.
Yes.
I guess I just spotted this one. This is topical. What is a pretzel's favorite dance?
The
The
twist.
twist.
You got it.
That's
Nice.
It's good. It's good. And appropriate for this particular social
Indeed.
account. Indeed.
You know, this morning, my daughter was shrieking at me, Dad, you haven't heard a thing I have said, have you? What an odd way to start a conversation.
Hey, Aaron, do we have time for one more idea to the poll?
Okay.
So I'm kind of combining what Marci shared with the combination of business and fun with the fact that I don't know if it was my news feed or my YouTube feed brought up something about Mel Blanc, the guy who voiced a lot of Warner Brothers cartoons.
That's funny.
And this YouTube video mentioned how Sylvester the cat was his favorite voice, was his favorite character to voice. So this word therapy, I was trying to, as I saw the poll, I didn't respond to the poll because I was trying to find something alliterative, like S and S or B and B. And, the seriousness, right? When you read the room of BAs and the dysfunction and the toxicity that we face, sometimes we just need therapy. We just need an ear. And we can talk to Marci and we might not have solutions, but being a sounding board and validating her perceptions of the dysfunction, everything can be helpful to her, right? So I was trying to find something that paired well with the word therapy. And of course, that TH sound works really well with Sylvester the cat. So where I landed on was Theriathmith and therapy. So I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but in the world of improv, even a bad idea can be a bridge to a good idea. So anyway, that's my absurd idea to float is, and I'm going to spit on my keyboard, Therathith and therapy.
And we could just
Thoroughly thought through.
therapy.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Outstanding, Robert.
Do we say I can't say a wrap because it doesn't have
That's all, folks.
There you go. Perfect. Excellent.
Oh,
There we
done.
go.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Cathy and Beverly for the amazing, amazing recipes, which, little fava beans into Chianti, if that's your thing, that sounds pretty awesome. And then hopefully
dinner with a friend.
There you go. Yep. And then hopefully we can come up with some solutions for Marci. It sounds like she could use our help. So if you hear anything, make sure you share with her. Anything I'm sure would be appreciated. Sounds like she's got quite the challenge and not a lot of solutions yet. So maybe we can collectively try to figure that out for her.
mm-hmm.
And other than that, thank you again. And Aaron, we don't have our next event scheduled yet.
No,
We're
we
working
don't.
on it, correct?
Correct. But it will be July. So current thought is it'll be around Independence Day. Our theme, not the date. Well, we got to get the date yet. But we'll get that out to you. You'll see all 3 chapters post about it.
Yep. So we're still working on it. We're trying to, get it nailed down because it is summer and we know that people are off, but we still want to get together and because we miss our friends when we don't get to see you. So stay tuned for that. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Sounds like fun.
Guys, have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Take
you all.
care.
This was
Great
fun.
people.
Bye, everyone.
You guys have a good one.
Take care.
Beverly, we look forward to hearing you.
Oh, well, thank you, Cathy. Like I said, I really do love being here because it is so much fun. And you guys are all such a great group to, just laugh and have some, good times with. So I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Take
I
care,
agree.
everyone.
All right.